Thank you. Thank you for so many gifts this morning. Thank you. Thank you for so many gifts today. Thank you for so many gifts this October. So many gifts here, and for last October, and for the last century, and for 2,000 years. Thank you. Thank you for all of creation. Thank you for your amazing love and goodness. Thank you for especially all the people in my life. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for DILEXI tea. The link is already in the notes for these posts for the last couple of days, and I forgot to mention it. There's also another link in there. Good morning, everybody. There's also another link in there for a little article I wrote for last month, and I forgot to point it out, but it's there. The link is in there for maybe 2 weeks now. I don't know how long. I think the title is Detox. A detox. Pretty sure that's it. Yeah, I think it is. So I offer that to you, a little reflection. Thank you for the steps towards peace, towards the end of this war. Thank you for those who have agreed to accept the terms of peace and to begin to implement it in the midst of many different opinions and arguments and difficulties. I caught these birds when they were coming towards me there. I didn't have the right light on them, which maybe you saw them. They come so quickly. A whole squadron. Thank you for teaching me that I'm not the only one. That there are many others who do things much better than me. This morning I heard a commentary from Father Benny. I think he must be from India, from his accent. A very, very beautiful commentary about the readings today. And his last line was that gratitude is not an emotion, it is a vocation. We are called to be grateful. Grateful for everything. Just comes to mind now the hymn of St. Francis about Brother Sun and Sister Moon and all of that. And he even says gratitude for suffering. I just saw a whole bunch of life down here, if I can come back and find it for you here on the ground. I was very impressed. There's so many little critters in our world, and I bet you they're all connected to us. Not just by the fact that they're created, but they're created with a purpose. And they have a role in our lives. And we can be grateful for them. but to be grateful for experiences that lead us to new growth. And we see that today in the readings delightfully. Naaman the Syrian is a military leader in Syria. People called Aram, there we have Aramaic, their language. The language that dominated this region for a while before Greek did. And he's a leper. And guess what? How he finds out and begin how his path to healing and salvation emerges through a slave that had been taken captive here in Israel, and she became a real blessing for his family. And she had such confidence with Naaman's wife that she was able to really get it into her heart that she should convince her husband to come here to the prophet Elisha for a miracle from God. Naaman the Syrian came, and he brought a letter from the king and many gifts. But that's a big story and long story, and it's not in the reading today. The reading today is further act in that drama where Naaman doesn't want to follow the instruction the prophet gave him to go and dip 7 times in the Jordan because he has better rivers up in Syria. There's a miserable little trickle of water here, you know. You should see the Jordan River when it's in times of drought. It's down to hardly anything. You can walk across it. And first of all, Naaman refuses because he wants to be healed on his terms, on his expectations. We many times pray to God for healing on our terms and our expectations. One of the beautiful parts of the ministry of a priest, in a place like Magdala, Duke and Altum, people come with prayer intentions. People who are sick. And it's a beautiful act of charity to come and want to pray for them, to want to be a blessing for them, to want God's favor for them. It's a beautiful exercise. But to come with the humility of heart, to receive healing on God's terms. And Naaman finally goes into the river. And the interesting thing there is he doesn't go in because he came to that conclusion, but because his servants, the role of a servant, in the social order of things, there's a lot of oppression, there's a lot of diversity of talent and abilities, and not everybody ends up on the throne. And there are thrones in every place in the world, starting with the kitchen, and the living room, the playground, and there are kings and serfs in all of these structures. Sometimes there can be bitterness because I wasn't chosen to be the one. But then there are the mature servants who know where to serve, where their providence has them, and they serve without complaint, without bitterness, without self-pity. And these are like that girl, and these are like the servants of Naaman. Many times the servants are more connected to reality than the big boss. And the big boss might be in the kitchen, or they might be in the business, or might be in the office, or might be wherever, in the traffic. Because they have a bigger car, they have a bigger truck, they can impose themselves. But the servant might be the wiser one. Might be, not always. Servants can also be very embittered, very reluctant, very grinding their teeth and sad. It's a pity when a servant maybe has some deprivations, and on top of that they deprive their own heart of peace by complaining. But these servants were free. They were free to speak to their master with kindness and gentleness, because if you spoke with harshness, the master would slap you or drive you out or punish you or ostracize you or make fun of you. So they spoke with humility. That little girl spoke with humility to the wife of the general. The general was used to getting things done on his terms. People who boss around others are doing that. And this servant is there with Naaman and says, you got to go into the river. Why, if the prophet asked you to do something more extravagant, you do it, but this is a simple thing. Why don't you just try? And then he was obedient. Obedience is a great path to healing. Accepting God's providence, accepting the others in my life, the difficult others, can be a great place to measure myself into reality and not let myself grow into imaginary realms of preponderance and greatness and disconnect from reality, become a laughingstock. And that's not the worst part of it. It's the destruction and the loss of peace. And he's healed. And then the Syrian, Syria is just across there, guys. We're closer to Damascus, where this guy's coming from, than we are to Jerusalem, right here. And this story had to happen here in the north because Elisha was active here in the north. So maybe as far as Bet Shean, or who knows where exactly he met Elisha. And beside the Jordan River, somewhere between here and the Dead Sea for sure. Naaman probably saw these landscapes as he was on his way to find Elisha the prophet. First of all, he went to the king of Samaria, and the king wanted to run him out of town. He thought he was looking for a war. It's amazing how the powerful can perceive situations and try to impose their understandings. The guy is cured, but then he wants to take a lot of gifts to Elisha, and Elisha, the wonderful prophet, refuses the gifts. He doesn't take money. And the guy has good intentions. He's filled with gratitude. So many motives for gratitude, even a little flower, even a smile. But he's healed of leprosy. And Elisha refuses, and so Naaman asks for the green light to take back 2 truckloads of clay, of earth, from here. We could ask why, because we've become very spiritual. But the connection to the land, the place of salvation. And there we see all the pilgrims coming here. They want to take something home with them. They want to leave a bit of themselves here. That connection to where God worked in my life. That whole culture that's in the Bible of setting up a memorial stone in this place where God blessed me. That spirit of gratitude, of connection, of returning to the giver. It's marvelous. And we sing with the psalmist, then the Lord has revealed to the nations his saving power, to the Syrian, to Naaman. Because God's salvation is for everyone made in his image and likeness. But it came here at a time through concrete people like Elisha, representatives of God's people, representatives of God among his people, of concreteness, because we're connected in body and soul. We're not ethereal, flimsy realities. We're flesh and blood. We eat things to live. We're connected. And there in this connection where we are, we worship God. And that's a big thank you. The recognition of where we come from all of our life and all of our salvation. To say thank you. And then we'll go on to more of this with the 10 lepers in the gospel story today at Mass. In an hour's time, more or less, an hour and 5 minutes we'll be starting. So maybe that's enough for today. There's an awful lot more to say. But to become people of deep gratitude, living a life of gratitude. Gratitude is such a beautiful flourishing of humanity, of understanding, of heart, of connection with others, sourced by the memory we have of all the blessings we've received. And even then to be able to discover in the clouds of sadness and suffering an extraordinary beauty that God is developing in us. God bless you. Have a blessed Sunday morning. See you later, alligators.